Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends. Welcome back to r/EntitledPeople, where in today's episode, you'll hear some super entitled stories about Karens getting exactly what they want when they ask for it. And the stories are simply spectacular. Now, I don't want to give anything away, so we'll just dive straight into the stories today, my friends. I hope you enjoy them, and do hit that subscribe button for future stories. And some good luck, because who doesn't need good luck? Let's dive in. So this just happened last night. I work at a small mom and pop pizza place in a small town. We're the only not gas station pizza place in town. Friday nights get really busy. So my boss is cooking and I'm waitressing. The cook cooks and the waitress does everything else. So it's busy and I've got several tables and the phone has been ringing off the hook with to-go orders. I've got piles of dishes and someone is constantly at the register and food is constantly ready to go out. My customers are being great. Everybody is smiling and laughing and not worried that things are taking a bit longer than usual Tuesday night. I was busy, but not stressed yet. And then he calls. Some guy from out of town. I want to call him a Karen since I don't know what guy versions of Karens are called. So he orders a large thin crust pizza with pepperoni. Easy peasy. He wants it well done. Can do. He wants us to put it in the oven for an extra 5 minutes. I say okay with zero intention of doing that. Now, before you all judge and say, ooh, OP doesn't do what the customer asked, she should get fired. Let me tell you this, we have a brick oven. Our thins go in the oven for 3 to 4 minutes, 4.5 for well done. That's total. This guy wants 5 extra minutes on top of that. He wants a 16-inch charcoal hockey puck. I assume he thinks he knows what he's talking about and just put on the ticket, well done. We do our thing and his pizza looks beautiful. He comes in and picks it up and before paying, he opens the box to inspect his pizza. This is normal and I'm not worried. He says, I asked for my pizza well done. Why isn't it well done? I told him that this is how we make our pizzas well done. Any more than this and your pizza will burn. He says, I am not paying for this. I'm not eating this. I want a new one and I want it how I ordered it. Put it in for 5 more minutes. So at this point, my boss taps me on the shoulder and he tells me to take over the cooking while he handles the customer. Now, our kitchen is pretty close to the register counter and I'm literally making pizza 5 feet away from the interaction, so I get to hear the whole thing. My boss tries to tell the guy how long we usually cook the pizzas, what's gonna happen to his pizza, etc. if it's in the oven for another 5 minutes, and the customer is having none of it. He wants his pizza cooked the normal time plus an additional 5 minutes or else he's not paying. After a few minutes, I can tell my boss has had enough of this guy, and my boss says, you sure you don't want this pizza? The guy says no, he wants it well done. So my boss brings it out to one of our regulars and lets him have it. He comes back to the guy and informs him if he wants his cooked for 9 minutes, he needs to pay first. The guy seems satisfied and smirks at my boss. You know, the look that customers give when they're always right, and he pays. So I hop back to waitressing, and the boss takes over cooking and makes this guy his pizza. It goes in the oven looking beautiful. Boss gets the guy's attention and sets the timer for 9 minutes and makes sure to leave the timer in front of the guy so he can watch it clock down. My boss just smiles and chuckles a little while, and the guy still has the smirk of satisfaction on his face. I'm bussing tables and checking people out and answering the phone while we wait on this guy's pizza. So the timer goes off for his pizza. My boss then gets his attention and shows him that he's gonna go right now to take it out of the oven. It's my job to cut the pizza as soon as boss man puts it in the box. So my boss then lifts this solid black, hard charcoal hockey puck out of the oven and sets it in the box. You can barely tell that it's a pizza anymore. I attempt to cut it, but it's so overcooked, it more or less just cracks and crumbles when I cut it. My back is towards him, so I can't see his face, but I can imagine. I close the box, turn, and hand it to him with a smile on my face and said, "Enjoy your pizza, sir." The guy responds, "Oh, I will enjoy this pizza. It smells amazing." He gives us that stupid smile again and turns and then walks out of the store. And within 5 minutes, he comes running back in and says, I can't eat that." So this is where my boss lets him have it, and my boss says, "We made your pizza to order. We told you that the average cook time was 4 minutes and you went to fight it, saying you refuse to pay if it's not cooked for an extra 5 minutes. We even showed you the timer having it count down from 9 minutes to make sure we did not screw up. If you want a new pizza, you'll need to order a new one and pay for that." This guy has a completely broken look on his face. I was actually almost looking forward to a blow up, but nope. He left his pizza on the counter and he left. not even demanding a refund. This is why I love my boss. My friends, imagine that. Having the smug look on your face of the customer always gets what they want, and having it backfire on you so hard that you don't even argue or ask for your money back. The man basically just walked away with his head hung in shame. I love it so much. Now guys, tell me, I'm really curious as to what he was expecting a well-done pizza to look like though. Hard crust and burnt cheese? What a silly, silly thing to ask for. So this happened to me about 2 years ago. I used to be a service manager at one of the biggest locations of a popular Mexican grill. I won't say which, but the guacamole was $1.95 extra, and we were required to ask everybody if they were willing to pay that price. So one Sunday morning, our second busiest shift of the week, 2 of my line people called out, so we were struggling to get all of our prep done before opening at 11 o'clock. Now, we were just wrapping up when in comes Karen 10 minutes before opening through the side door, marked employees only, with 15 preteen girls in tow. My cook recognizes her as she regularly comes in during dinner shift, and she's super entitled. She usually snaps her fingers and treats all staff like they are below her. So I go and seat the girls, and Karen tells me that they can order whatever they want. She throws her credit card at me and goes to sit down at another table and diddles on her phone. Now, I can't ring up her order without her standing there because of the company rules, and I'm 30 weeks pregnant and just want to take my break. So I prego-waddled over to Karen's table and try to inform her of that when she literally flicks her hand at me to dismiss me, and she says, "Are you deaf? I told you not to bother me. Just let them order whatever they want." Now, not only have I been at the store since 7 o'clock and done 2 different people's jobs on top of my own, I have my son's head grinding against my pelvic bone and kicking me like crazy. I am in no mood. When I try to tell her again, she looks at me with what I can only describe as seething contempt, and she says, "What part of they can get whatever they want did you not understand? Are you an idiot? I don't care what you charge me as long as I get a receipt. Don't interrupt me again or I'll get your pregnant ass fired." Now, I never cry, but that almost got me. Motherhood is awesome, but pregnancy sucks. I finally managed to pick my jaw off the ground and stammer, "All right, ma'am, I will ring up whatever they want and bring you a receipt." The girls were really nice, and most of them ordered double meats, and they all got bottled water and chips and guac, and an appetizer on top. Every last one. My cashier and I are just vibrating with glee as we ring them up and watch the bill climb to $350. I bring the bill to Karen and was pretty excited when she didn't immediately check it. I made my own food and told the cook to come get me when the show starts. So I'm halfway done eating when I see him waving to the camera, howling with laughter, so I head up. Karen is foaming at the mouth, screaming for the manager, and when she sees that the manager is me, she literally grinds her teeth and slaps her receipt on the table. She manages to choke out the word refund. Now, the girls have all pretty much finished their food, so I inform her that I won't be doing that because I would lose my job for giving away that much critical inventory for free. I then gently remind her that she told me twice that they could get anything as long as she got a receipt. She just kept demanding a refund and calling me stupid. So at this point, her screaming is holding up the very long line and customers are shouting at her just to leave. And that's when she pushed me. Hard. My cashier caught me, so I didn't fall down, but 2 of our regulars who are police see it and immediately cuff her. In the States, any use of physical force against a pregnant woman is classified as aggravated battery, or something like that. I felt bad for the kids, and I was fine, so I kept telling them I didn't want to press charges. But they said at that point that it didn't matter because the woman had done it in front of on-duty officers, so she was getting arrested. They had to call the kids' parents to come get them because Karen was the church's youth leader. My GM came in and let me go home with a full day's pay. Karen tried to take the case to trial, but they had a video and like 20 witnesses statements, so she ended up taking a couple years probation or something. All because I did exactly what she told me to do. Listen guys, what the heck is she expecting though? She throws her credit card at the server, tells OP to let them order whatever they want, and then freaks out at the cost of the meal. She definitely deserved it, especially after OP tried to tell her many times and was waved away and called a stupid idiot. Karen getting arrested is the cherry on top of the story, guys. This story brings such a huge smile to my face and I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Okay, so this happened about 20 years ago, when I was 17 and working in a major UK supermarket. This was my first proper weekend job. I used to work in the bakery, and it was the best section to work in the supermarket. My job was to make sure that bread and fresh cakes were well stocked and presented so we can make sure there was always fresh items available. Other duties were slicing fresh bread and making sure rolls were stocked and tongs were available. So on one busy Saturday, I was doing a quick inventory count, and when I came to the individual rolls, I saw a middle-aged lady in a large furry coat and luscious red fingernails. Now, I did not pay much attention to her until I saw her with a crusty roll in her manicured and bejeweled hand, give it a squeeze, poke her thumb through the crust, and throw it back in the basket. She did it again, and when she reached to try a third one, I piped up and said, "Excuse me, ma'am, would you mind using the tongs provided, please?" She ignored me and grabbed a third roll and broke the crust, so a little louder I said, "Ma'am, please use the tongs provided." Now, she heard me that time and glared at me and said, "I beg your pardon?" I told her, "Ma'am, please don't grab the rolls, please use the tongs in the basket." And she says, "Are you saying that my hands are dirty?" She then raised her voice while waving her embellished hand at me, wiggling her fingers so they sparkled as they moved, and said, "Are you suggesting that this is filthy?" And then the inevitable happened. She said, "I want to speak to your manager at once. You should learn to respect your elders and betters. I will have your job for this insolence." So I did what she said and called for the bakery manager to come on down, bearing in mind that this was a busy Saturday, so he was in his whites and wanted to know what the problem was. This woman went into a sob story on how she was testing the rolls for freshness, and I was so rude to her, telling her how her hands were filthy. She also shed a few crocodile tears here and there, and said she had never been so insulted. In a stern voice, my manager turned to me and said, "Did you say this to her?" Now, I was starting to think that I did something wrong, and I was a bit nervous and replied, "Yes, I asked her to use the tongs, and she ignored me, so I asked her again." My manager says okay, and he turns to the woman and says he will be back shortly. He needed to do something and get some paperwork. While my manager was out of earshot, the woman crowed, "See what happens when you don't know your place? I said I could have your job for this." My manager did a quick count of the rolls and muttered 224 loudly and went to the back room. He then emerged with an industrial-sized black garbage bag. He then proceeded to empty 8 large baskets of rolls into the bin liner and a label for 224 individual granary rolls, tied up the bag, handed it to her, and said, "Here you are, madam. They're all yours." The woman says, "I beg your pardon?" "The rolls, madam. They're all yours. You openly admitted to contaminating our stock, and you ignored a member of staff when she asked you to repeatedly use the tongs. You've wasted my time, and you are paying for the stock that you've damaged. Good day." The woman then says, "What am I supposed to do with all of these bloody rolls? I only wanted 2. With a dazzling customer service smile, my manager chirped, "Not my concern, madam. Security will take you to the tills and make sure they're paid for. Enjoy your weekend." He then turned on his heels and went back upstairs to the bakery. The woman then looked at me, then the huge bag, absolutely aghast. So I did the only thing I could do. I grabbed a random loaf of bread, take it to the bread slicer, and laughed loudly to myself in the back room. I saw her almost every week afterwards, always using the tongs. Oh my goodness, my friends, what a slap in the face that was. I told you were gonna get in trouble. I would have paid good money to see the look on her face when she was forced to buy 224 rolls. That seems like a comical amount of rolls, guys. How much do you think that would have amounted to? I love this person's comment right here, and it sums up the situation perfectly. It's funny when people forget to mind their own manners, but are quick to tell you to mind yours. Well said, my friend. Well said. My friends, and that brings us to another end of our /Entitled People. Guys, if you enjoyed the stories today, do give it a thumbs up. And if you missed yesterday's episode of our /Entitled People, a guy has no idea that he's disrespecting the owner, and it only gets worse from there. Check it out if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I love you. I really, really do.